Yeah. Okay, we are up. Let me just get the chat on my phone and alrighty. Welcome to tonight's vlog. So I'm only going to be streaming on YouTube tonight. I've decided to hold off on using TikTok Live until I get a better idea of what the current TikTok TOS looks like and see what exactly is everyone freaking out about. If it's that same usual, oh yeah, it's in almost every social media's clause because that's what they need so that they can pretty much display or like show the videos that you posted. So yeah, as of this time, I'm gonna give TikTok Live a break for this week. And so we'll just be doing a YouTube for the moment. Also, other updates. I finally finished filming and editing the first vlog. So that will be probably going up either tomorrow. That will either be going up tomorrow or later this evening. So yeah. Ran into a few technical difficulties and not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little bit behind right now, especially when it comes to the pole dancing AU. And um, so yeah, the brain's a little bit all over the place. I'm currently having the video render while I'm streaming on a laptop that was not built for too hefty of a task. So, yeah, we're gonna see how tonight goes. This thigh is a little thick and long, but I also do need it to be a little bit more. So the goal tonight is going to be to catch Xavier up to where Caleb is. And so, yeah, let me just get the feet aligned. To catch Xavier up to where Caleb is currently at in terms of progress. So right now, Caleb has some details going into his blue sketch, and I mentioned this during the vlog that Xavier is a little too tall for my liking, so we are going to be adjusting his proportions a little bit more. So I just wanted to get his the rest of his body and then maybe resize it a little bit so that he's a little bit smaller. I know this is probably going to get me closer to where I want to be. His legs are still too long. I know his torso is still too big. I know, like, this part, when it came to the rib cage, I extended it further than I would normally like. So, let's kind of shorten up his limbs a little bit. His legs could also bear with a little bit less length. Okay, but I think that's getting closer to where you need it. I still need to shorten him a little bit more, and I think that's going to come down to the legs. And his arms, obviously, are going to have to go shorter. So let me begin readjusting his proportions and getting them to where they actually need to be. His head, I think, is fine where it's at. And so let's get working on that. So I think his head is fine. I need to make a new layer. It's kind of nice not having TikTok chat floating off to the right side of the corner because I can finally actually utilize my full screen without having the chat rolling. Okay, I'm at a size 10. Okay, let me just readjust the head a little bit. And let me lower. Sometimes when I'm struggling, because I'm seeing too much of what's underneath, I really do need to lower the opacity a little bit more. Hi there. And I finally decided to go with a faceless format for the vlogs. So I'm going to be using a stuffed animal as a type of stand-in. You guys are actually going to meet Kageyuki when the vlog releases, but I figured for the meantime, while I get comfortable with the idea of showing my face on camera, we're going to go ahead and stick to a faceless vlog format. Ultimately, I realized sometime last week that I don't need to do an all or nothing I kind of mindset where it's either I show my face or I don't do it at all. So that's ultimately what I decided while I build up the confidence to actually show my face on camera, which is ironic, given that I'm not shy in front of cameras. It's just whatchamacallit, with current fandom climate the way that it is, and a lot of people just unable to separate fiction from reality. Like, I just feel safer not showing my face for the meantime. And so, yeah, we're going to stick with a faceless vlog format for the meantime until I build up the courage or I feel comfortable showing my face. Um, I actually did have some footage filmed from not last week, but the week before that I pretty much just ended up tossing because most of the footage, if not all of it, pretty much showed my face. And I, again, ultimately decided faceless content, so that all had to go. It's kind of like sad because I did spend time filming all that, but at the same time, I know this is a decision I'm making to ease myself into it, especially now because like I said, I used to vlog back when I was in college, and back then it was cosplay vlogs. So naturally I had to show my face and um yeah. And but right now I'm just in that position where I think faceless is the way to go for the meantime. Again, until I build up the confidence, I just want to test things out. I just want to test things out first, and then we'll see where we go from there. I'm struggling with the collarbone because the collarbone is gonna go there, and because of the summer frame, the shoulder should fall somewhere around there. And his, okay, yeah, there we go. I just feel like this is a little too I don't know. I think it's because in my head, it still looks a little too blocky, but I literally drew in a, hopefully I don't make him too tall again, because that's what we're trying to avoid, is making him too tall. I think that is part of my issue. I'm having the same concerns. I'm afraid I'm going to make him too tall. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. We are getting there. I'm going to give him a little sassy. Now his torso's too big for the rest of him. Sometimes I genuinely feel like I forget how to draw my own style. But I guess it's just like those subtle changes as you. So one of the things that I would say, that if you end up fixating on quote unquote finding your style, it's not something that you can force, in my opinion. It's something that develops over time. And pretty much if you're fixating so much on finding your style, I think it's the wrong thing to focus on, especially when you're a beginner. As a beginner, I think it's more important to focus on actually establishing your fundamentals. Um, get a good idea of what is, like, for example, when I started drawing, I pretty much just mimicked any anime that I happened to get my hands on. That just happened to be the way I learned how to draw. I pretty much learned by copying the art off of DVD boxes. I remember some of the first drawings I did were like of the Inuyasha DVD box. I redrew panels from Naruto, and in a way that is kind of studying an artist's style, because you are trying to mimic what you're seeing on the other page. So sometimes I do tracing paper, other times I'd actually like have the manga panel and then my drawing side by side, and I just be going in, drawing, and trying to mimic what I saw the best that I possibly could. And that is a valid way of learning how to draw. And so, like, I will say that if one focus on learning the fundamentals and the foundations, because understanding that will make it far more easier when you try to do studies and when you try to learn from other artists. You'll understand why they're doing what they're doing a lot better and why they're able to do what they do so well. And I would say, like, again, I think style is the last thing that you should be fixating on. Style is something that grows organically from the artist. So fixating on that from the get-go, I think, is probably the um, one of the easiest ways to kind of kill your own drive, because you'll look at other artists and then compare your work to theirs and just kind of fall into a type of comparison trap, because either you'll feel like my art style isn't unique enough or my art style isn't as good as theirs, and you'll fall into all of these types of comparison traps that I think ultimately can be the death of a budding artist, especially if you get trapped in like that comparison trap too easily. Um, I would say focus on your foundations and actually creating those foundations that way, again, I remember, I forget his name, but one of the YouTube artists that I do watch every once in a while actually had a really good point that a lot of the really good artists that you see, they're able to do what they do because they have a solid grasp of their foundations. They understand the human embodied, they understand the human anatomy. They understand how shapes work in space. They understand foreshortening. They understand perspective. They understand all the basic building blocks of art. And just because somebody is a cartoonist or draws in a very specific stylistic art style doesn't mean they can't draw realism. They just choose not to. That there's also the element that they use what they do know about the foundations so that they can create their styles in a way that makes sense um because one of the things about stylistic art is that it's not just random shapes. There's a rhyme and rhythm to how an artist approaches that style. And pretty much getting a solid understanding of your foundation gives you the power to kind of do whatever you want with your art, um, and make it in a way that it makes sense. Like when you look at it visually, it I think I'm making the collarbone jut up far too much when I need it to go straight because the collarbone comes down like this. Because I'm drawing Xavier, so this is what I'm talking about, like understanding how shapes work in space. Because Xavier, if you were to put a box here, this is what you're looking at the top of his shoulders if you're approaching it from this angle. Um, but I might actually be doing a bit of a fuck up here because I'm doing too much of a top view, and that's part of the reason that might be throwing me off. Yeah, I might be throwing myself off. Kind of going back to, again, understanding the building blocks and understanding how the foundations work. The vlog is 42% rendering. I just had to go check really quick. And the other thing is too is that Xavier's, I think also because of how the neck is kind of, okay. Do want his shoulder. I know this one is gonna, and again, making sure that I am not, because one of the things that I do even with my chibis is that I try to match it up to the basic human anatomy the best way I can, to the best of my ability, given that the proportions are going to be, um, see, and I think this is what kind of went wrong here, is that the shoulder started jutting out a lot more, so, okay, his shoulders are supposed to be narrow, okay, I am struggling. I just, in all honesty, I feel like I'm falling behind on everything because I have so much to get done and so much to do. And it's like I've gone and added more to my plate with the vlogs in classic me fashion. And so I want to do the vlogs, but this past week with the vlogs has been very frustrating because I ran into a whole bunch of just technical issues with my choice of filming and just a bunch of just a bunch of growing pains, and it's gonna pretty much learn how to adapt my schedule knowing that I'm going to be doing the vlogs moving forward. And it's one of those things that, like, I don't want to overcomplicate it, and I'll probably keep it simple for the start. And you see more when you look at, when you do a box, when you do this, and you are going in, I just need to do something really quick. just trying to reason myself out. So it's like, yeah, so this side is more narrower. And I'm trying to capture the collarbone, but I feel like he's too leaned in one direction. I don't know, guys. I'm struggling. I'm struggling this evening. I am struggling. So you kind of see like the difference in the proportions. This is what I usually try to keep my chibis down to in terms of proportions. And one of the difficult things is because I try to mirror the human anatomy the best I can, even with these chibis. It's not just big, like blocky bodies. I still try to keep some of that anatomy factored in. And I think it adds a certain level of complexity that, like, I run the risk of making them far too tall because I'm trying to keep those proportions instead of just going with, because when I first created when I was first settling on their proportions, I pretty much just blocked them out in very simple shapes. I didn't do the pecs, I didn't do the abs, I didn't draw anything extra. I just drew out the shapes I needed them to be in. And that made things simple. Now I'm for some reason, for some godforsaken reason, I don't know why I'm like this. I'm drawing out where his ribs are. Like I don't understand my logic behind this. I honestly do not. See, because what I end up doing is something ends up coming out a little too long. But I think we're still fine when it comes to proportions. But notice the difference between the current body that I'm drawing out now versus the body that's underneath it. Like, the change in proportion is drastic. And this is me freehanding it instead of, I didn't even rely on my resizing at all on this one. And the thing is, I realized this with Caleb a little too late. I'm probably going to have to redo his proportions as well. But his is going to be more challenging because I already have some detail added to him as well. The only thing I can pray for at this point is that they're remotely consistent because I worked on them, like, I'm pretty sure I started working on Silas sometime last year. And I'm keeping too much of his thigh. I think what I'm going to do is figure out where the straight leg, to what point the straight leg comes down. And again, the main worry is making him too tall. And this is one of the things I haven't been able to capture on my drawing setup yet, is that whenever I draw the chibis to this proportion, or whenever I'm working on the proportions and I'm working on the sketches, is that I do have another window open, because I don't like the viewfinder and how tiny it is on the toolbar. I will create a new window that has the drawing open, and I'll pretty much separate that window out so that I can have a much larger viewfinder I can easily zoom in and out of as I need to. There might be things I still need to work out on his proportions, but for right now I think this is actually pretty. I know I'm gonna have to. What is it? Something like that. There's like a unique trick so that when you draw like split legs or one's a little bit more forward, there you draw an S to figure out where they fall. That's what I'm trying to do, but I don't know if I'm doing it right. And it's usually not every day that I work from the cap up. Oh, I knew that was going to do something weird. I guess. But that's kind of the problem now, is that he does not look balanced. His foot is far too forward, for sure. I think it's because this part is leaning down compared to the other side, and I think instead of something like this, I wanted something like more closer to this, or maybe even just straighter. So do need to move this shoulder up a little bit more so that it's more even with this one, so it looks like he's not leaning as much, because it looks like he is leaning. And I need to give him more of a booty. Yeah, reworking the proportions is a bit challenging. And I'm fighting every urge to not just scrap this entire layer. So if that moves up, this is going to have to move up as well. So, okay, I don't think the torso needs to be adjusted all too much. I just need to make sure it doesn't look like he's leaning, more like he's just standing. And I do need to give him more of a hip, don't I? And I will have his leg more or less kind of turned out. He still looks like he's kind of leaning, but I know it's because I kind of messed up here. Yeah, so there's something going. The bottom half isn't really, but at the very least, I have him to the height that I need him. Although I think his head is too big now. His head is too big now. My God, I am struggling with my own chibi. His eyeballs. And pretty much the eyeballs are just there to help me map his eyes later. Trust the process. I know Xavier is not looking the prettiest right now, but just trust the process. At least that's what I'm trying to convince myself. I'm actually surprised my laptop isn't as warm as I thought it would be. I've only been streaming for 30 minutes and I almost need to get ready for bed. Okay, I may not be able to get as far with Xavier as I'd like, but at least we're getting him closer to where he needs to be. Okay, I'm gonna do another sketch layer. Hopefully this one turns out a little bit better. I'm gonna start adding details to his face at the very least, so I feel like I'm not staring at something that's staring into my soul. And hopefully we can get a little bit more of this head figured out. Yeah, he does wear a mask, doesn't he? Damn it, Xavier. Okay, I'm gonna do something. I don't know if I just made him worse. In all honesty, I don't know if I made him worse. He's getting there now. His neck is too thick. My God. He still looks like he's leaning. This is why we don't rush things, guys. This is why we don't rush things. I think I need to return to simple shapes. I need to stop drawing his ribs. I just need to, because when I first created the proportions for this chibi, it was quite literally, this was quite literally how each of them began. So quite literally, this is how the proportions were determined. Like, when I first created the chibis, that was pretty much how simple it was to get the shapes in. Like, that's very rough, and I can show my sketchbook at a later time, but this is also too... Okay. Okay. Keep saying okay, because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm trying to convince myself that I do. And that I have a path forward, but I don't. I'm just gonna hop in here and do what I can. Okay, no, that's not right. Will drawing his eyes in make me feel better? Ooh, no. Okay. Remember to rotate and flip your screens. Okay. So when his hair comes in, I know it feels like I'm just doing a lot of redrawing, but like for me, this is necessary to get the proportions right. I think it was, yeah. I just like creating the hairline because this is where the eyebrows are gonna go. Okay. I need to look up a reference picture of Xavier. Need a good close up. Well, he has a face mask, but I do want to get a good idea of what his eye shape is, because that will help me. Yeah. Oh, I made him look so frowny. So I'm actually gonna draw in, and I feel like he has a much more rounded upper eyelid compared to the other LIs, so we're gonna work with that. I feel like his eyes are a little bit more rounded. I think I need to move up. Yeah, I need to move up. I think what I'm gonna do is first make sure I can put down lines. Okay. I feel like that's too far. So the thing to know, because he is at a 3/4 angle, the other eye will be a little bit more narrow, but they will have the same height. Like I feel like Xavier has a little bit more. Yeah, I feel like he's got rounder eyes, like rounder doe eyes. At least that's what I think. Xavier, please have mercy. Don't be like Zane. Also, so the inspiration behind the pole dancing AU that I'm making for the pole dancing AU, it came out with the like K-pop idol cards. So originally the designs were gonna have like features from their costumes, just made more horny or sluttier. But um, right now, I like when I made the sketches, I did not draw in clothes at all. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens there. Right now, they're all just in shorts. His nose is a little too bunny. There was a time where I did not draw their. He looks like Gata. He low-key kind of looks like Gata. His face is too wide for his eyes. Oh, this is not going the way I wanted to. The proportions for Xavier specifically all feel off. When in doubt, just make the eyes bigger. I might actually separate them a little bit more. I may need to like take a step back because I don't know. I don't. The frustrating part is like I'm on a deadline, so it feels like I need to get these done fast, and I think that's like mistake number one for me especially when I say don't rush it. I'm rushing it, and that never ends well for me. Because that eye proportion is a lot better. This is a little too round. But I guess this is also why I'm still in the blue sketch, is because this is where I kind of address a lot of the issues that I have with the drawing. And then this is far too, like, that is far too, but then the mid line also changes. His nose needs to move over. Feel like a few things need to be adjusted here. I was hoping to get more done with Xavier, but it's just turning into, I don't know what I'm doing. I genuinely don't know what I'm doing. Guys, do I even know how to draw anymore? I got too much going on. That doesn't look like Xavier, but again, this is one of those, just trust the process, and we'll get there eventually. He looks disgruntled and upset, and admittedly, he does look more like Gaara than anything. But again, just trust the process. Just trust the process is what I'm telling myself. He does have like more. And then this is going to be very rough, very messy, because I just need to. Okay, I think we're getting there with the hair added in. I think his face shape is closer to what we needed. His eyes will need to get smaller, but this is definitely a lot better than what it was looking like 5 seconds ago. But yeah, Xavier is going to be one of my many tests in trust the process. Let me just get his hair drawn in, and hopefully that will help make things look and feel a little bit better. Where is his center line? It starts from the side of his head. Again, the Xavier is truly going to become a test in trust the process. But to be fair, all of the boys end up turning into tests of trust the process. Oh my gosh, guys, Xavier with a side cut. What do we think? Side shave. Not a side cut, a side shave. I think part of what's throwing me off about Xavier is that I gave him thick ass, like, I gave him eyeliner. He's got eyeliner right now, and it's kind of fucking with me. I think that's part of the issue. He looks like Gaara. He kind of, like, I look at him and he kind of looks like Gaara. And he will need his face mask, which I'll worry about his face mask at another time. But for right now, we will focus on just getting his face drawn in. and some of his hair. That will probably make me feel less bad about his face. Which I think adding the hair and not just having him on screen bald is already doing a lot, to be completely honest. Oh my gosh. And again, to match the neck, we are going to have to kind of position him a little bit differently. His neck will need to narrow down, but I think having his head at the very least is doing wonders for my sanity. Like I'm looking at the icon that I have kind of just blinking, and I'm just like, how did I even draw that? Like what how do my drawings even happen at this point? Like genuinely, how do they even happen? Because sometimes I sit here, I'm just like, I have no idea how I got from point A to point B, but it got there somehow. And Xavier's turning into, again, this is becoming a test to trust the process. And I'm not like, I'm very nervous about the process right now. I think the other thing that kind of throws me off is this part of his neck is probably going to have to shoot down lower because, especially if I wanted to. Again, I just need to stop drawing the chibi ribs. I just need to stop drawing chibi ribs. And I got paralysis because this lower half is throwing me off. I gotta focus. I gotta lock in and focus. It's just adding to my stress because I just feel like I'm just behind. I'm just behind. It's like, no, you're fine. No, I'm behind. Okay, I need to stop. Okay, I need to stop fixating on the collarbone and just draw the shoulders. And then connect the shoulders can just happen like that. Because genuinely, that is how. I think stop curving it. Just draw. I think I just need to draw boxes right now. That's all I need is just to draw boxes. Because the chibis are supposed to be simple shapes. Okay, stop curving them, make them angular, and then we'll work from there. Which doesn't work because he does eventually have to come down like this. Which actually, comparison to chibi ribs, this is getting closer to what I need. But again, proportions are kind of coming off weird because this is too long. Gotta trust the process, even though when you don't trust it. And then this part is going to be here. That part's going to come down. Yo, I made this art style. What the fuck? Like, I consciously made decisions about the proportions, and I can already tell the torso is too long again. His hip snatched the way I needed it to. It just too long. I think the other thing is too is because this is the front, it's going to come straight down, and the back is going to have a little bit more curves to it. But I think his face is actually leaning more towards what I need. And then his legs are gonna... The other thing that's throwing me off is how his... Yeah, because... I think I need more curves. Like, I need more things. Doing something like... Does he still look like he's leaning? See, that I think that's also the other part of the problem is that part of the way I'm visualizing it is as if his body's like this, but when I'm drawing his body, it's at an angle. So you're still gonna get that front view, not that direct. Okay. I have my shapes wrong. So there's a lot of angles that aren't gonna be as pronounced as I thought they were going to be. Because his leg does turn outward, but it's still at a 3/4 view, not a full side view. His thighs are still a little bit too long. I need to shorten them up a little bit. I think we're at the proportions we need. And his other arm is probably gonna come out. This arm is too long. This arm is far too long. Because this arm is gonna have to stop roughly around. And then it's gonna be his sword. I think his foot also needs to come down a little more. Now compare where we started He's even too tiny for his own canvas. Oh, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Everything is okay. He was too tiny for his own canvas. I just kept on screaming him. Oh my gosh. But I think this is closer to the proportions that we need out of him. Yeah, this is closer to the proportions we need. I feel like moving his head a little bit more to the right. His right arm is a little too long. We'll fix that. Don't worry. Is mainly what I'm telling myself. Yeah, okay, that's all. Oh, no, nope, nope. Actually, okay. Just need a little minute shift. Kind of tell where I tried beheading him. Okay, I think we got... This is why I need to draw more frequently. I just feel like I don't draw enough sometimes. But I think I'm getting sleepy and I need to get ready for bed. So I think this is where I'm going to end the vlog for the evening. And thank you for anyone who stopped by during the live or watches the replay. Really appreciate you. And yeah, so we'll stop this here. At least we made some more progress on Xavier, not to the point that I want him to be at, but at the very least, we've pretty much gotten his proportions back to where it actually needs to be. And yeah, we'll wrap the stream up there, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a good night, everyone.